Have you ever sat in silence, watching everyone around you move forward with their lives, while you felt frozen in the same place? Days passing, months slipping away, and nothing changing. No progress, no breakthrough, just the same fears, the same doubts, the same heavy feeling pressing against your chest. You try to convince yourself that tomorrow will be different. But when tomorrow comes, it looks exactly the same as today. And the worst part, you begin to believe the lie that you're lazy, that you're weak, that maybe you just weren't meant for something better. But the truth is, you were never weak. You were just lost. And sometimes, life doesn't give you a map. It pushes you into a storm and forces you to find yourself. Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by rolling green hills and quiet forests, there lived a young man named Aiden. Aiden wasn't foolish. In fact, he was smarter than most people around him. He was curious, full of imagination, and filled with big dreams of a meaningful life. Every morning, he watched the villagers, farmers, walking into the fields. Before sunrise, bakers shaping warm bread with disciplined hands, blacksmiths striking iron until it glowed red with fire. Everyone seemed to know exactly what they were meant to do. Everyone. Except Aiden. He tried different paths. He helped in the bakery for a short time, but waking up before dawn felt impossible. He tried carpentry, but the tools slipped from his hands. The moment something became difficult, doubt crept into his mind, and he quietly walked away. Failure became his companion. Escape became his habit. Then, one harsh year changed everything. The rains stopped coming. Crops turned brown beneath the burning sun. Hunger crept into the village, and in the middle of all that suffering, Aiden lost his father, the one person who had always believed in him. All that remained was a small, worn-down hut and a painful silence. With no direction and no strength, Aiden felt completely alone. As he walked through the village, he heard the whispers. Aiden is clever, but he will never succeed. He runs from hard work. Their words were like sharp stones, and every night they echoed in his mind. He started to believe them. He was useless. He was a disappointment. Overwhelmed by shame, Aiden decided to run away for good. He packed a small bag with what little food he had left and walked into the dark forest that bordered the village, a place most people feared to enter. The forest was cold and unwelcoming. 4 days, he wandered, surviving on wild berries and stream water. Loneliness was his only companion. One evening, exhausted and lost, he collapsed at the foot of an ancient, gnarled tree. As he lay there, ready to give up, a soft, raspy voice broke to silence. Lost, are we? Aiden looked up and saw an old hermit, his eyes clear and kind, sitting beside a small fire. His name was Alara, and he had lived in the forest for decades. Aiden, with nothing left to lose, poured out his story as failures, his shame, the voices from the village, the crushing weight of his father's memory. Alara listened patiently. When Aiden finished, the old man simply said, "You are not running from the village, my boy. You are running from yourself." He pointed to a half-built stone wall nearby. "Help me with this wall," Alara said. "Every day, just place one stone. No more, no less. And as you place it, tell me one thing you learned that day, no matter how small." Aiden scoffed. "1 stone. What good will that do?" "Just try," Alara urged gently. So, the next morning, Aiden found a stone. It was heavy and awkward. He struggled, but finally managed to lift it and place it on the wall. "I learned that even small stones are heavier than they look," he grumbled. Alara nodded. The next day, Aiden placed another stone. "I learned that finding the right spot for the stone makes it more stable." Another nod from Alara. Day after day, Aiden placed 1 stone. "I learned that my hands are getting stronger. I learned that the rhythm of the work quiets my mind. Learned that I can predict the rain by the smell of the air." Slowly, the wall grew, and with every stone, Aiden grew too. The whispers from the village faded, replaced by the quiet wisdom of the forest and the steady presence of his own effort. He wasn't thinking about success or failure anymore. He was just focused on the single stone in front of him. One afternoon, months later, he placed the final stone on the wall. He stood back, looking not just at the finished wall, but at the person he had become. The wall wasn't just a structure of stone. It was a monument to his patience, his resilience, his daily commitment. Alara smiled. The wall is finished, but your work is just beginning. Go back to your village. Fear flickered in Aiden's eyes, but it was different this time. It was a challenge, not a monster. He returned to the village, not as the boy who ran away, but as a man who had found his strength. The drought was still severe. He saw the cracked earth and the worried faces. But instead of despair, Aiden felt a purpose. He remembered everything he had learned in the forest. He knew where to find underground springs by observing the plants. He knew how to build small, efficient irrigation channels with stones, just like the wall. He began to work, one stone at a time. At first, the villagers watched with suspicion, but they saw his focus, his unwavering discipline. He didn't talk about grand plans. Just worked. Soon, a few curious villagers joined him. Then more. Together, they built a system that brought water back to their fields. For the first time, Aiden didn't run when things got hard. He faced the challenge, one stone at a time. The whispers in the village changed from mockery to respect. It was no longer clever balazi Aiden. He was Aiden, the one who saved them. Aiden realized that his purpose wasn't a grand destiny waiting to be found. It was something he had to build, day by day, with his own two hands. He learned that true strength isn't about never failing. It's about getting up and placing the next stone, no matter how heavy it feels. His story reminds us that sometimes, when you feel most lost, the answer isn't to find a new path, but to start building right where you are. One small, consistent action at a time. What is the one stone you can place? He's not built for effort. Those words hurt more than hunger. They completely shattered the little confidence he had left. Every night, Aiden would lie in bed, staring up at the cracks in the ceiling, his heart just feeling so heavy. Silent tears would slide down his cheeks. "Why am I like this?" he'd whisper into the darkness. "Why can't I just be like everyone else?" And for the very first time in his life, he faced a painful, honest truth. He whispered to himself, "I am lost, but I do not want to stay this way." One quiet morning, desperate for some kind of clarity, Aiden walked down to the river. The sunlight shimmered on the water, so peaceful and so steady, the complete opposite of the chaos swirling inside his mind. And there, sitting on the riverbank, was an old man named Master Rowan, known throughout the village as the wisest of them all. Without even turning around, Rowan spoke, his voice soft but clear. "Your life is not ruled by luck, Aiden. It is ruled by how well you master yourself." Aiden stood there, completely frozen. How did he know his name? How did he know what he was thinking? "If you want change," Rowan continued, his voice calm and steady, "stop trying to do everything all at once. Choose one thing, one skill, one single path, and then give it all of your heart, especially when it hurts." Aiden's voice was barely a whisper when he asked, "But what if I fail?" "Oh, you will?" Rowan replied without a moment's hesitation. "You will feel small. You will feel hopeless. You will want to quit more times than you can count. But every small effort, even the ones that feel painful, builds the foundation of the life you are truly meant to live." Those words lit a small, warm fire deep inside Aiden's heart. It was a feeling he hadn't felt in a very long time. Hope. The very next day, he made a choice. He chose rope making, one of the most important and respected skills in the entire village. The work was brutal. His hands, soft and unused to labor, quickly became raw and started to bleed. His muscles screamed in protest with every pull and twist. The first ropes he made were weak, uneven, and completely useless. He could feel the eyes of the villagers on him, their whispers following him. He'll fail. He always does. But this time, something was different. This time, he had Rowan's words. Every single time that voice in his head told him to quit. Every time the pain felt like too much, he remembered its small efforts, done faithfully, change everything. So he kept going. He started waking up before the sun even thought about rising. He practiced again and again, tying the same knots hundreds, then thousands of times. It would fail, he would get frustrated, but then he would take a deep breath, fix his mistake, and try again. Weeks turned into months. The seasons began to change, and slowly, almost without him noticing, so did Aiden. His hands, once soft, were now covered in calluses strong and sure. His muscles, once weak, were now lean and powerful, and his ropes were no longer weak. They were strong, perfectly coiled, and sought after by everyone from fishermen to builders. The villagers who once shook their heads in pity now nodded in respect. They saw not the boy who always failed, but the young man who had mastered his craft. One evening, Aiden brought his finest rope to Master Rowan. The old man inspected it, feeling its strength and perfect balance. He looked up, a warm smile spreading across his face. "You see, Aiden," he said softly, "you were never building ropes. You were building yourself." And in that moment, Aiden understood. The journey wasn't about the skill he had learned, but about the person he had become along the way. He learned that his past didn't define him, and that true strength isn't about never falling. It's about getting up, one small effort at a time, and never, ever giving up on yourself. This story is a powerful reminder for all of us. Maybe you feel lost right now, or you believe you're not built for the effort required to achieve your dreams. Remember, Aiden, choose one thing. Give it your heart. Embrace the small, painful efforts, because they are the building blocks of the life you want to live. Have you ever felt lost, watching the world move on while you're stuck in place? This is a story for you. A story about a young man named Aiden. Aiden lived in a small, quiet village nestled by a rolling river. He wasn't born with any special gifts. He wasn't stronger, smarter, or faster than anyone else. In fact, he was known for being quite ordinary, often overshadowed by the achievements of others. His days were a quiet blend of simple chores and unremarkable moments. But deep inside, a restlessness stirred. He longed for more, not for fame or fortune, but for a sense of purpose, a feeling that he was building something meaningful with his own two hands. One morning, as the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, Aiden made a decision. He walked to the edge of the village, to a secluded grove, where thick, fibrous vines grew in abundance. He had decided he would become a rope maker. It wasn't a glamorous trade, but it was honest work. It was a craft that required patience, strength, and unwavering focus, qualities Aiden knew he needed to develop. His first attempts were a complete disaster. The vines were tough and unforgiving, scraping his hands raw until they bled. His fingers, clumsy and untrained, fumbled with the strands. The ropes he made were lumpy, uneven, and weak. They would snap with the slightest pull. The villagers, seeing his bruised hands and the pile of useless rope, would shake their heads. Aiden is wasting his time. Some whispered he should stick to what he knows. Others simply laughed. Look at him, trying to tame the river vines. He'll give up in a week. Doubt, cold and sharp, began to creep into Aiden's mind. Every night, he would return to his small hut, his body aching and his spirit bruised. The pile of failed ropes seemed to mock him, a monument to his inadequacy. He felt the sting of their laughter, the weight of their disbelief. It would have been so easy to quit, to return to his old, comfortable life where no one expected anything from him. He could have let their words become his reality, but then he would look at his raw, bleeding hands. And in that pain, he found a strange flicker of defiance. This pain was real. This struggle was his. It was proof that he was trying. He remembered the feeling of restlessness, the deep yearning for purpose. Quitting now would be a betrayal of that feeling, a betrayal of himself. So, that night, Under the quiet gaze of the moon, Aiden made a new promise. He would not give up. Not today. Not tomorrow. He would face the pain. He would embrace the struggle. He would learn. The next morning, he was back at the grove before the sun rose. He didn't try to make a full rope. Instead, he took a single strand of vine. He studied it. He felt its texture, its tension, its grain. He spent the entire day just working with that one strand, learning how it bent, how it twisted, how it held its strength. He ignored the whispers and the sideways glances. His world shrank until it contained only him and the vine in his hands. He was no longer fighting against it. He was starting to understand it. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Aiden's routine was relentless. Dawn until dusk, he was with the vines. His hands, once soft, began to change. The cuts and blisters slowly healed, replaced by thick, tough calluses. His fingers, once clumsy, became nimble and sure. He learned to feel the perfect tension, to weave the strands into a tight, uniform braid. His focus became unbreakable. The world outside his work faded away. There was only the rhythm of the weave, the scent of the vines, and the quiet determination in his heart. His pile of failed ropes grew smaller, replaced by coils of strong, well-made rope. They weren't perfect yet, but they were functional. They were strong. He began to sell them at the village market. At first, people were skeptical, but a farmer bought one, then a fisherman, then a builder. They came back surprised. Aiden's rope. It's strong. They'd say it doesn't fray. It holds. The whispers began to change. The laughter died down, replaced by a quiet curiosity. Day after exhausting day, and the people began to notice. Aiden is different now, they'd murmur. He stands strong in hardship. He never quits. The young man they once dismissed was now a figure of quiet strength. He didn't boast or seek praise. Whose work? His dedication was a silent, powerful testament to his character. Years passed. The calluses on Aiden's hands became a map of his journey. His small hut turned into a bustling workshop. The air thick with the earthy smell of vines and the steady hum of work. Aiden was no longer just a rope maker. He was the most respected rope maker in the entire region. Traders traveled for miles, their carts empty, just to buy his work. Young apprentices would beg him to teach them, hoping to learn the secret to his craft. But Aiden knew his greatest success was not in the ropes that coiled neatly on his workshop floor. It wasn't in his hands, as strong and skilled as they had become. His greatest success was in his mind, in his heart, and the unbreakable discipline he had forged. Through the pain and the failure, he had learned patience. Through the doubt and the ridicule, he had learned courage. He had learned that failure is not an end. He's a lesson. And most importantly, through the solitary, repetitive, and grueling work, he had mastered himself. The same villagers who once doubted him now spoke of him with pride. Aiden is a man of strength, they would say to travelers. A man of focus, a man who built himself from nothing. But Aiden never felt proud because of their words. Their praise was a fleeting echo. He felt proud because he knew the truth, a truth forged in solitude and sweat. He had created himself through pain, through discipline, through persistence. And if today you feel stuck, lost, or forgotten, if you feel like everyone is moving forward while you are standing still, remember Aiden. Remember the boy with the ordinary hands and the extraordinary will. Your life won't change overnight in a flash of magic. It will change one habit at a time, one skill at a time, one brave decision at a time. Begin today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, choose one path, one skill, one thing you want to build. Stay consistent, even when it's boring, even when it hurts, even when no one is watching. Face the struggle. Don't run from the pain or the doubt. Let them be the fire that forges you. Master yourself. Master your impulses, your desire for instant gratification, your fear of failure. And one day, it will happen. Quietly at first, then suddenly everything will change. You will look at your hands, at your work, at your life, and you will realize you are no longer the person who once felt lost. You are the person you are always meant to become. You are the architect of your own soul. If this story inspired you and you want more powerful life-changing stories like this, subscribe to Life Reflection Dailies and begin your journey today. Your transformation starts now.